Hey guys, I hope this works because yeah, my Active Inspire keeps crashing. Hopefully it doesn't crash. These are the practice problems from page 135. If you get your workbook out, we'll go through some of these, and you're very likely to see these on McGraw-Hill. You know, I like to use the practice problems on the McGraw-Hill assignment. All right, so for the first one, we notice that we have variables on both sides. Normally, we like to get rid of the smaller of the two variables. Negative 2a is smaller than 6a. So we get rid of negative 2a by adding 2a to both sides. What that looks like now is that we have negative 9 on the left equals 8a plus 15 on the right. Now we want to get the variable term alone. This is just a two-step equation like we did before Thanksgiving. We want to get the variable term alone. So we need to get rid of the number that's on the same side with the variable term. To get rid of a plus 15, you subtract 15 from both sides. Negative 9 minus 15 is negative 24 equals 8a. Now our final step is to get a by itself. We do that by dividing both sides by the coefficient or the number being multiplied with the a. Right, negative 24 divided by 8 is negative 3. Equals a. These cancel. Okay? And remember, when you're putting your answer in McGraw-Hill, don't put the a equals, just put the negative 3. Over here are the variable terms. We have a positive 3n and a positive 5n. Which one is smaller? The positive 3. So we're going to get rid of that by subtracting 3n from both sides. That gives us 14 on the left-hand side because, of course, this is gone. On the right, 5n minus 3n is 2n minus 6. Okay. Now, this is our variable term. We want to get the variable term alone, so we need to get rid of a minus 6. We do that by adding 6 to both sides. Now we have 20 equals 2n. And our final step then is to divide both sides by the number that's attached to our variable. And we get that n is equal to 10. Okay. Those were straightforward and easy. These ones are a little more complicated because they involve fractions. Okay. Still, we do it the same way. Here's a variable term, positive 1/2 x, and here's a variable term, negative 3/4 x. Negative number is always smaller than a positive number, so this is the one we're going to want to get rid of. We get rid of a negative 3/4 x by adding 3/4 x to both sides. Okay. Now this gives us 1 1/4 x. You could write it 1 1/4 x, or you could write it 5/4 x. You would likely have put that in a calculator, 1/2 plus 3/4. Okay. And on the right-hand side, all we have left is 10. Those are gone. Okay. Now, here's our variable term. We want to get this alone, so we want to get rid of this minus 5. We do that by adding 5 to both sides. Now I am going to go with 5/4 x because in this next move, it will benefit me to have this in fraction form. These 5s are gone, and on the right, we have 15. Well, that didn't go well. Let's try that again. 15. Now to get rid of 5/4, what you really are going to do is divide both sides by 5/4. But you can just put this in your calculator, 15 divided by 5/4. I happen to know that if you keep change flip, we can solve this quite easily. 3 times 4 is 12, so x is equal to 12. Over here, same thing. We have two fractions. We have 2/3 y and 1/6 y. Which one is smaller? 1/6 y is smaller than 2/3. So we subtract 1/6 from both sides, 1/6 y from this side and 1/6 y from this side. Now this is equal to 4/6. So if we do 1/6, take 4/6 minus 1/6 would give us 3/6. Plus 1 equals 8. This also reduces to 1/2, which would be simpler form to write it. I think we can probably go with that in the next step. We want to get our variable term alone, however, and so we need to get rid of the plus 1. So we do that by subtracting 1 from both sides, which gives us 1/2 y equals 7. These are gone, and 1/2 is the simplified version of this. Right? Now the next thing we do is we divide both sides by 1/2. But dividing by 1/2 is the same thing as multiplying by 2. So if I multiply 7 by 2, I will get 14. If you don't like doing fractions in your head, you could have put this in your calculator, 7 divided by 1/2, and it would have given you 14. Okay. Now, these even, I'm going to run for the calculator with these because decimals are really hard to do in your head. All right, here's our variable terms. We have 5.4p and we have negative 2.6p. Negative 2.6 is the smaller, so we're going to add 2.6p to both sides. Okay. Well, I think I could do this one. 4 plus 6 is 10, carrier 1, so this gives me 8p plus 13.1 equals 3.5. Okay. Here's the variable term, so we want to get rid of the plus 13.1. We do that by subtracting 13.1 from both sides. Gives me 8p. Now I am going to use the calculator here. Right, so I have 3.5 minus 13.1 gives me negative 9.6. And then our final step would be to divide both sides by the 8 to get p by itself. Divided by 8. And I get that p is equal to negative 1.2. And yeah, when we're doing decimal or fraction problems, some of the answers are going to be fractions and decimals. Don't let that throw you off. Okay, number 6. Here's a variable term, 0.15w. Here's a variable term, 0.22w. 0.15 is smaller, so I'm going to subtract 0.15w from both sides. Now notice I always get the variables on one side first. It's very important that you do that. That way you know which of these numbers you need to get rid of. This cancels out this, leaving me with just 0.35 on the left, or 0.35 if you prefer. Over here, I'm going to add these together. It's going to be 0.37 W, or 0.37, minus 0.14. All right. This is my variable term, so I want to get rid of this number. I get rid of it by adding 0.14 to both sides. Okay. This gives me 0.49 equals 0.37w, right? And now our final step would be to divide both sides by 0.37. Well, this is not going to be pretty, not at all. This looks terrifying from here. 0.49 divided by 0.37. Oh, that's something's got to be wrong there. What did I do wrong? Let's see. 7. Okay. 0.37. That would be 9 and 4. Add 0.14 to both sides. There's no way they want that number to be that ugly. Did I put it in the calculator wrong? Right. All right. Let me check on this real quick. I found my mistake. I subtracted 1.5 from this, not added. That's where I went wrong. So let's fix that. This number was wrong, which means this number is wrong. And that one's wrong. Now we'll fix it. All right. So when you subtract 0.15, then you end up with, oh, that's going to be, yeah, that's going to be better. 0.22 minus 0.15, yeah, 0.07, which makes more sense because 0.35 divides by 0.7. All right, and so then we would have 0.07 W, and then I would divide this side by 0.07 and this side by 0.07, not W, and 0.49 divided by 0.07 is 7. That worked out much better. I knew I had to have done something wrong. That's good practice, though. That one of the problems at the end asks us to find a mistake in it. And that's a common mistake. I subtracted from this side, but I forgot to subtract from this side. So be careful of that. All right, so now we get into a little bit more word problems, but this is kind of a pretend word problem. It's not a real word problem. 12 more than 7 times a number equals the number less 6. Solve the equation, blah, 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 to find the number x. They wrote the equation for you, so it's not much of a challenge here. We have 7x plus 12 equals x minus 6, and they want you to solve for x, which is the smaller variable, 7x or 1x. 1x is smaller, so subtract 1x from both sides. That gives us 6x plus 12 equals negative 6. And yes, this is a negative 6 because the sign in front of the number goes with the number. Now it's a two-step equation. Here's my variable term. I want to get rid of the plus 12. I do that by subtracting 12 from both sides. Gives me 6x equals negative 18. And then divide both sides by 6. And I get x equals negative 3. That's an easy one. Solve the equation shown for x. Again, this is another easy one. Which x is smaller, 3x or negative 1x? Negative 1x is smaller, so we fix this by adding 1x to both sides. That gives us 4x minus 15 equals 17. Here's my variable term, so I want to get rid of a minus 15. So I do that by adding 15 to both sides. And then I have 4x on the left. And on the right, that looks like 32 to me. Then we divide both sides by 4. And we get that x is 8. Okay. Now this is a little bit more of a word problem, but still the equation is given to you right here. So all you had to do was kind of find the equation. It tells you a plumbing company is charging $35 per hour plus a $25 travel charge. Another company is charging $40 an hour. Solve the equation to find out how many hours H a service call must be for the two companies to charge the same amount. You're just basically solving for H. 35H plus 25 equals 40H. Which is the smaller variable? 35. To get rid of a 35H, we subtract 35H from both sides. That gives us 25 equals 5H. And if we divide both sides by 5, we get that H is 5. Which means after 5 hours, both plumbing companies would cost you exactly the same. Here's another one, just like the plumbing question. Here's the equation they want you to solve right there. 186 plus 10x equals 25.5x. X's are on both sides. We want to get rid of the smaller one. 10x is smaller than 25.5. So we subtract 10x from both sides. Gives us 186. Is equal to 15.5x. And our final step will be to divide both sides by 15.5, which I don't want to try to do in my head. I have a hard enough time doing mental math when it's easy. So I'm not going to do it there. Okay, 186 divided by 15.5 is 12. Typical book problem. We're not going to do number 11. It's hideous. Number 12 is the one I was telling you about earlier where they ask you to find the error. Let's see if we can figure out what went wrong here. This was our original equation. And first of all, this person started off by attacking the numbers. Okay, that was probably a mistake. We always want to get our variables all on one side to start with. But they went ahead and decided to get rid of the plus 8. So they subtracted 8 from both sides. That's fine. Then they have 6n equals 4n minus 1. Negative 9 minus 8 is not negative 1. Negative 9 minus 8 is negative 17. Okay. But then the second step they subtracted 4n from both sides. That works. They just did those in the wrong order. And then the only problem is that this should have been a 17 at this point. But yeah, so that's what they did wrong. And then we're not doing either of these because they both give me a headache. Yes. So now that you've written down all the work for these answers and these problems, I want you to go over to McGraw-Hill and I want you to complete the practice assignment. It's the 3-1 practice assignment. And I'm going to set it due Friday. Okay, so make sure you get to it. Don't delay. And if you have any questions, get in touch with me. Let me know. Okay, thanks for watching.